fuel to. All those people that you want to pay housing levy, those are the biggest opponents of the Kenya Kwanza administration in 2027. Any person, any Kenyan will beat Ruto. Because in 2027, these Kenyans who are talking to us are telling us they are not going to look for a clever mouth. They are not looking for the smartest politician. They are not looking for the one with the most money. They are looking for somebody with empathy, that you can actually listen to the people. If the avocado farmers are telling you that our industry now, the one tree that I have, there is no justification for you to levy this tax on me, you should be able to listen to them. So when you see these proposals coming, it is not as if Ruto is deaf. He knows that the people are suffering. They have cried in his ear. He is just a person who has no empathy, and he doesn't care what you think. He will impose tax on bread. The milk one, I can assure you, Trevor, it is coming. The tax on oxygen is coming in the next 2 years. You will see. This morning, if this proposal comes to the floor of the House, will you vote for it or no? They should give you a simple answer. It shows you the dishonesty. I have heard members of parliament, Trevor, argue against a bill during debate. And I'll give the clearest example. Unfortunately, my friend Harwale is not here. When we were debating the water bill, he actually stood up and he said it is time we need to push back against these unconstitutional bills that are coming to the Senate, bills that are taking back devolved functions or clawing back on devolution. At the point of voting, Khalwale voted for that bill. And it happens with this gentleman. What Kagusha will not tell you, I had proposed sometime on this show that when it comes to voting on critical bills like finances or like taxation, if you want to tax the avocado farm, let that vote be taken in Mukurweini, not here in Nairobi. Because when he's here, he feels very safe. What he's calling populist politics. You are a representative of the people. I remember asking, are you sure that the people of your constitution or your constituency want this bill to be passed in the manner that it is? And they said yes, because they want roads and so on and so forth. On the ground, it's different. Because I speak to members of parliament, even from the region. One of them is a very close friend of mine, and she said her mother has one avocado tree. One. She's been selling these, and it produces avocados maybe once or twice a year. And that is what she knows. She's being told that she needs to register on e-teams for this one avocado tree so that she can sell her horticulture. This is the implication of a vote you took. It is not populism for you to get to the ground and then realize that you did not represent your people. You represented your boss, the president, who told you you must pass this bill. This constitution, Trevor, requires me as an elected legislator to, number one, consider, debate, then pass a law. You must consider it. I'll give you the example. We are talking about bread here. Did these two gentlemen, for instance, consider the implications of passing the Sugar Act in the manner in which they passed it? The Sugar Act is currently before the Senate. These two gentlemen passed a law that imposes a 4% tax on imported sugar, industrial sugar. Industrial sugar is what is used in producing of bread. When they passed it, did they consider the implication on the prices of bread? Did they consider the prices, the implication on the prices of confectionaries? Everything that is used in production, industrial sugar is used in production, including beverages, including confectionaries, all of those things. There's going to be a cost implication. When Owen Bayer argues against input VAT and manufacturers claiming, you should also listen to the manufacturers themselves who are telling you that if they are able to claim back the input VAT, that benefit is passed to the consumer. And that, in fact, if they are not able to claim that input VAT, it will be claimed directly from the consumer. There is that argument as well. So let us not be hypocritical. The truth of the matter is, the members of parliament of the majority side, first of all, Trevor, you saw us as the minority side in the Senate complaining that debate has been stifled. Parliament is a house of debate because Kenyans want to know what is your position on this avocado tax and why are you supporting it? You must be able to explain to the public. When you're speaking in parliament, you're not just addressing your colleagues or the speaker. You are addressing your constituents for them to understand why you're supporting a particular position. And we have seen a very big clawback on that debating space in parliament because The dishonesty is there. People know that this is something that is unpopular. They don't want to be seen on TV actually supporting it. Number two, they don't have any justification for why they are supporting certain proposals and why they are opposing it. So I'll give you an example. He has said that at the third stage of reading, the chair of the committee of the whole allows debate. At least maybe it happens in the National Assembly. In the Senate, it doesn't happen. We had a big fight when we were trying during the third reading of this affordable housing bill. These are common sense proposals that were put on the table by the members of the minority. Yeah. Senator Okongo Mogeni proposed that, for instance, we exempt people who have a subsisting mortgage from this levy. That a person who is only has 5 years remaining to statutory retirement should be exempt. That somebody who is aged over 50 years and is engaged in informal business activities should be exempt. They did not allow debate on this. In fact, during the second reading, would you believe it, on an important bill like this, we were limited to 4 minutes to debate a bill like this. And Trevor, let me tell you where the problem is. One of the leaders told me, Sifuna, you know, we are gifted differently. There are people who can debate for 20 minutes. There are others who cannot. And we should try and shield those ones who cannot debate. And I was asking myself, you chose a job that involves debating. That is the description. That's the job description. Yeah. If you know you cannot, why don't you be an accountant somewhere who just sits and inputs numbers in a computer? Yeah. You chose parliament. You cannot inconvenience those of us who have things to say because we represent a larger number of people. In fact, the largest housing projects, Trevor, are being undertaken in Nairobi. And the people speaking about it, you will hear some members of parliament from some places where I know for a fact there are no houses going to be built. Yeah. They're the ones hogging all the space. And they don't want the senator for Nairobi to debate and actually lay the problem on the table from all the people that I represent. So the dishonesty is not on our part. I have never claimed to be a tax expert, but I am an honest member of parliament. You can ask me today if this bill comes to the floor of the House, how will I vote? I can tell you now, I will vote no. And I have the reasons, because Kenyans are overburdened. All these taxes, and by the way, Honorable Baya, you guys should be able to tell your party leaders the truth. Yeah. Because you see, I see this debate 27. Ruto's opponent in 2027 are not in the leadership. They are in those people you lied to about creating jobs. They are the people in this middle class that you have imposed all. Let me finish. Let me finish. You will speak. It's 2 against 1. You will speak. Those people you have levied SHIF, those people you have added VAT on fuel to, all those people that you want to pay housing levy, those are the biggest opponents of the Kenya Kwanza administration in 2027. Any person, any Kenyan will beat Ruto. Because in 2027, these Kenyans who are talking to us are telling us they're not going to look for a clever mouth. They're not looking for the smartest politician. They're not looking for the one with the most money. They are looking for somebody with empathy, that you can actually listen to the people. If the avocado farmers are telling you that our industry now, the one tree that I have, there is no justification for you to levy this tax on me, you should be able to listen to them. So when you see these proposals coming, it is not as if Ruto is deaf. He knows that the people are suffering. They have cried in his ear. He is just a person who has no empathy, and he doesn't care what you think. He will impose tax on bread. The milk one, I can assure you, Trevor, it is coming. The tax on oxygen is coming in the next few years.
You know, you're producing the industrial sugar. Are you getting?
So let him say what he's saying.
I am not the one making your points little. They are little points. I am telling you, my brother, that I spoke about industrial sugar. Industrial sugar is the one that is...
Trevor, let us agree on this. No, but let us agree on this, Trevor. You know, we are live on show. You know, my brother Sifuna, you can't make it a point of belittling other members of parliament. Are you getting?
Are you done?
You know, it's good to also be respectful.
Okay.
Are you getting to each other as we debate?
Are you done?
Are you getting?
Are you done?
Because we don't come here for insults. We don't come here for insults, and we don't come here with small points, like my brother.
Fine.
But you do.
Let him explain.
And you know, having a big head doesn't mean that you have a big point.
That's fine.
Are you getting?
But the point.
Explain.
If a point is little, everybody can see it's a little point. It's not me belittling it, Kagushia. I spoke about industrial sugar. Do you know the distinction between white industrial sugar and sugar? That's the point I'm making. Because if you read the bill, you would not have imposed 4% on industrial sugar that is not produced anywhere in this country, that is used in industry. I would understand if you impose an importation tax on sugar, table sugar, because...
But he's also ignorant. He's also ignorant of the industry that is being set up now to produce that industrial sugar.
Let him finish, then I'll have one by as well, yes. Go ahead.
And it's not the only law. It's many laws. You are telling us stories here about, coffee, or nini. I asked a very simple question. Did you consider the sugar bill and its implications on industry and the prices of things that it is a key ingredient in, including bread? In my view, you did not consider it, because at the Senate, we are going to propose certain amendments, Trevor, to exempt that tax until local industry has the capacity to produce white industrial sugar. You understand what I'm saying? So when I tell you that you did not consider the bill, you are showing it here that you actually did not consider the bill. And members of parliament are required to read and understand what they are passing. In my experience in the Senate, and I've said this, most members do not want to consider bills, because consideration of bills does not happen during voting. It is a three-step process. First you consider, then debate, explain to the people why you are supporting a certain proposal or why you're not supporting a certain proposal. So all of these things that we are saying, when a farmer receives a benefit, that benefit should remain with the farmer. You are not receiving a benefit so that you can pay higher taxes. If you have reduced my cost of production, yes, I may remain with extra coins in the pocket, but the purpose of the subsidy or the benefit you conferred as government or the reduction in the cost of production was not so that I can be in a position to pay more taxes. Which are these farmers you speak to? Because the farmers that I speak to would want to benefit from that subsidy by improving their lives. If somebody was cultivating an acre of land,
where does the government get money to subsidize?
Let me finish.
Hold on.
If not from taxes.
If you give with the left hand and take to the right with the right hand, you have not done anything in terms of changing the lives of those farmers. You want to grow their capacity. If somebody was producing an acre of land, because they have extra money in their pockets, let them produce 2 acres. If they were renting 10 acres of land, they can be able in the next harvest season or planting season to plant 20 acres. The benefit must remain with the farmer if it is a true benefit. So there is no farmer, at least not the ones that I know, maybe the ones in Mukurweini. The ones I know want that if you bring a program to aid them, if you have brought a program to lower the cost of production, that benefit should remain with me. You cannot come to tell me that now you need to pay more taxes. This is why your logic most of the time doesn't make sense. And when it is pointed out, you become hysterical,
where does the money,
you become emotional.
No, but where does the money? Where does the money?
You have 20 minutes in the standing orders, and it is a reasonable amount of time to debate. What happens is, immediately the matter comes to the floor, because members of majority side don't want to debate. They know most of these proposals are very unpopular, even with themselves. So what they do, the first thing you will see is the leader of majority stands up and says, we want to limit debate. And because they want the bill to pass very fast, and reduce the time from 20 minutes, debating on a bill as important and critical as housing, to 4 minutes. And the point that I was making there in the clip that you played is that during the committee of the whole, when new clauses are being introduced, when amendments are being proposed, it was the position of the majority that debate should not be had on the specific clauses. That is why I read that standing orders that says the rules of debate in general also apply during the committee of the whole during these amendments.
Correct.
There is a difference, my brother, with a time or an opportunity to speak and what you are saying and the time that you are allowed to say. You can make noise in 4 minutes, by the way. You can insult government, what you call holding government to account. But if I want to give a breakdown of my take, incorporating the views of the people of Nairobi in the housing bill, you cannot limit me to 4 minutes. That is just grossly unfair. And what is happening, I am telling you, is that increasingly that space for debate is being reduced. And there are many examples. So, Trevor, when we complain, it is not as if we are just crybabies. It is not as if I am unable to do the things that he's telling me to do here. The rules simply do not allow me to do. Let me make a final point on the question of taxation that he raised. Nobody is saying that there should be people who are exempt from paying taxation. What we should be talking about is whether the measures that have been imposed, first of all, are fair, Number two, they are resulting in the development or the positive growth of the economy that he's talking about. Successive reports from the CBK speaking to employers, they're telling them because of the high cost of doing business resulting from the taxes that have been imposed, many of them, actually over 40% in the CBK report that I saw, the survey for January, many of the respondents said they are going to let people go because they can no longer afford their salaries. Many of the bills that have been passed by these two gentlemen impose taxation two ways, both on the employer and on the employee. You have seen the confusion that is now in the private security sector after they insisted that a certain amount of money has to be paid to the security guards. There is a total confusion in the industry because many of the players are coming to tell us that their costs have gone overboard. So when you look at reports from FKE telling us last year we lost 700,000 jobs because of the bad taxation policies. When you hear reports that in fact collections from even fuel, the VAT levy that we used to collect, have gone down. These are reports from official government sources. These are reports from KRA. These are not from Chungwa House or Sifuna's big head. I am telling you, this is what the taxation policy of Kenya Kwanza is doing to the economy. So if we are experiencing a slump, Trevor, we are experiencing a slump in taxation because Kenyans are overburdened. There is an optimal level of tax. Again, I'm saying this not as an expert, but as a person who understands what a fair system looks like. There is a place where, optimally, you will be able to collect the tax that you wanted without overburdening or hurting the economy or the people themselves. So we have breached that, and it is telling in the numbers that are coming out, from the collections to the job losses to the projections of employers and so on and so forth. So I am not arguing for people not to pay taxes. I am not demonizing taxation. I am aware that taxes and death are the only things that are certain. We pay taxes. People want to contribute to the development of their country. But can you please listen to the experts who are telling you, to the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, to the Kenyans themselves, who are telling you that yes, for instance, Kagushia, some of this opposition to some of the taxes, we are saying it is not the right environment. So for instance, if you want to levy a tax on imported sugar, can you at least put in place the mechanism that will ensure that we can have the capacity to produce that local sugar in the quantities that at least will be sufficient for our local manufacturers not to suffer either high prices or lack of stocks, and then now say, because we want to encourage this nascent white sugar industry to grow, we're going to limit importation. That is how you proceed. What comes before the other is also critical, and that is why we are saying, when a bill like this comes before you as a legislator, you have a constitutional responsibility to just look at all the angles, and see all the implications of the bill that you're passing so that you don't hurt people.
Okay.
On Trevor, we cannot all be wrong in the Senate side. Maybe I am a hothead or a big head. Yeah? But Senator Kajwang, Senator Okongo Mogeni, Senior Counsel, all these people cannot be wrong by saying, allow us to ventilate. And we have said, by the way, Trevor, the reason I like this show is that, do you know, I get to speak more on this show than I speak in Parliament. And it's not because I don't have things to say. As you can tell, I have things to say. I would like to say them at the venue that is most impactful for the people of Nairobi. But when I go into the House and I'm told to debate a bill for 4 minutes, Trevor, where is that fair? How is that fair? And he's talking about filibustering in the US Congress.
Can I say
I cannot go beyond the 4 minutes because my mic is switched off.
Okay.
I don't know which of the people. When we say do public participation, that is when, if we want to discuss issues of cashew nuts in Kilifi, we want to pass a bill. At the very minimum, I expect Owen Bayer to make sure that public participation happens in Kilifi to explain to the people the implications of the vote that is going to take. Okay. You don't wait. You are the one who has passed the law. Then you are sending some hapless KRA people to go and explain to the people. The people did not elect those KRA officials.
And now
it is your responsibility as a member of parliament. The bill is not just about voting. So for them, they are just voting robots, because he knows in the Senate we are outnumbered because of the bad manners in political hygiene. They have pushed members of Azimio, and the gap between us and the majority is bigger than you think. I know you have no idea what is going on in the Senate. Trevor, it is okay for people to change their minds the way that our brother from Kandara has changed his mind. But they should also not forget, if they are being honest, that they were told this is exactly what would happen. They were told during public participation, memoranda was sent, everybody from the tax experts to the economic experts, people who are better than Sifuna, told them that this thing would have adverse impacts. I don't often quote Gachagua, but I want to quote him today to speak to Kagusha, because it's a language he might understand. Gachagua is the one who said, you cannot help our farmer with one hand, and while you oppress him with the other hand. This is the point that I was making to you. If you create an environment for people to produce, it is to better their lives. It's not to put them in a position where they can pay more taxes. Number two, this question of Forex that he brought about, we would want some more clarity, whether it was market forces or the genius of William Ruto that has resulted in the slide of the Kenya shilling or the US dollar against the Kenya. Because they tell us many stories. They tell us.
I know you're disappointed.
No, let me finish.
Let him finish.
Let me finish. Why am I disappointed? Why would I be disappointed? I am happy. Now, they told us initially that the G2G deal was the one that's supposed to handle that. Now they're telling us it's market forces. The other day I heard them saying, oh, sell all your dollars. It is because people were holding dollars. These guys have no idea what they were doing. Number two, on the question of housing in Nairobi, Honorable Baya, I'm an expert on the people of Nairobi. There's a reason why, of all the people who ran for any office, including Ruto in Nairobi, I got more votes than them. I represent these people. Number one, my objection to the question of housing is not to say that I don't know that Nairobi needs houses. In fact, Trevor, I told you that Nairobi is undertaking the biggest housing redevelopment. We have 13 old city council estates that are being redeveloped together with the county government under PPP. Sifuna is not opposed to construction of houses. We are saying, how are these houses being constructed? In the last term, President Uhuru Kenyatta started various housing development projects here in Nairobi. Pangani is going on. There was no single levy that was imposed on Kenyans across the country to build Pangani. The one the president likes to go and take photos at in Mukuru. I am told he's going there next week again. That is an Uhuru government project. Began, constructed, it is almost being completed without a single shilling from the levy that is being imposed here. My opposition is on the levy because cumulatively, Honorable Baya, Kenyans are feeling the pressure of all these taxes you have piled upon them. There is NHIF or the SHIF. You have introduced the housing levy. You have increased VAT on fuel. You have increased payee. All of those things cumulatively are resulting in a position where, if you look at payslips, no wonder the middle class sees you as an enemy, because it has become criminal for you to have a payslip in this country. It is being raided day in, day out. Talk to your ordinary doctors. Talk to your ordinary teachers. Talk to the police officers. They look at their payslip and they start crying. No wonder they are saying it is easier to earn the tax and pay back your salary, because the taxes are higher than the salaries. So in Nairobi, I understand the need for housing. Various previous governments have done various things to try and assuage the situation. We had projects like the slum upgrading project, zero levy introduced by Kibaki and Raila. We had the National Housing Corporation doing houses in Nairobi, zero levy, because the taxes that you collect otherwise are sufficient for you to run these projects. The CS for housing appeared before the Senate the other day, and I tried to ask them if they know or understand people's objections. For me, as a person sworn to defend devolution, I object to this proposal on various principal points. Number one, it is unconstitutional for national government to get itself involved in a devolved function. Housing is a devolved function. Construction of houses is a devolved function. So I am within my right to object. I have no problem with the county government of Nairobi doing PPPs to construct houses in the old council estates. I only warn that what happened in Buxton in Mombasa should not happen in Nairobi. Let there be consultation with the people staying in those estates. Let it be clear what houses are being developed, what land is going to be affected, what value the people who are giving up that land, the people of Nairobi, can derive from the pricing of those units once they are done. Okay. So that is the conversation we must have. So you cannot tell me that I am opposed to housing. I am not opposed to housing. Okay. I am opposed to the housing levy. All right. The people should understand that. And by the way, final point. Yes. When the CS came, I asked her, how many of these projects are running? The housing projects, they tell us, oh, we have employed, I don't know, 200,000. In their own documents, there are only 3 projects running, and they even counted Buxton, which is not a national government project. It was a PPP with the county government of Mombasa and a private developer. Okay. So these people are dishonest. They are lying to you. Okay. They're lying. I'm hanging on that same court that you're accusing me of hanging. At the end of the day, it is a question of fact. You can take the numbers. I got more votes than Ruto in Nairobi. It is a fact. Now, let me say this. I want to salute the avocado farmers of Murang'a. And I want to urge all Kenyans to emulate the avocado farmers of Kenya. When you tell your legislator that this is something you do not support, and he goes ahead and votes against it, please chase them away when they come to the ground and start talking about and feigning ignorance. Number 2, Trevor, we want sustainable taxation. As I've said, there is an optimal level of taxation that will result in the benefits you are targeting. And he talks about consumption. Yes, let us see some frugality in parliament. But your president is spending 4 billion shillings rebuilding, remodeling his kitchen at State House and building a new pavilion to hold parties. That is not frugality. That is not proper use of the taxes.
Where does Ruto get time to hold
parties? That's what I'm saying. He's always. That's a question I've asked myself so much times. So many times I've asked myself, where does this guy get all this time to attend all these crusades, all these prayer rallies, all these bashes? He's always having PGs, hosting which delegations at State House. If he's not at State House, he's on a sunroof somewhere in Mukuruini, lying to people again. So we are saying, let's see. In the consumption of those taxes, can we see some frugality so that we all say we are all putting in something and we should all use those resources properly, not just remodeling houses and then you tell us about affordable housing.